Welcome to the Mentally Whole podcast. I am your host, Lauren Green. This podcast is a safe place for us to have weekly discussions about mental health, Christ, personal development, and the tools to live our best lives. Please stay tuned for a new episode. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Mentally Whole podcast. I am your host, Lauren Green, and this is a new episode. I just want to thank you guys for listening. I want to shout out to all my new listeners and all my seasoned listeners. I know it's a quarantine, but you guys are still listening, and I appreciate that so much. So don't forget to subscribe, share, and rate the podcast, because when you do that, I know that you like what you are listening. Not listening. You like what you guys are hearing. Boom, because you're hearing, not you're hearing. So yeah, just subscribe, share, and rate the podcast. And we are going to get into today's episode. So today's episode will be part education and part story time. I don't think I've ever done a story time on this show, so this will be a first. So today we're talking about the mind-body connection, right? So the mind-body connection is twofold. So the first part of this means that our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes can positively or negatively affect our biological functioning. In other words, our minds can affect how healthy our bodies are. And I'll leave the link to where I found that definition at. And then on the other hand, what we do with our physical body, what we eat, how we exercise, even our posture can impact our mental state. Again, positively or negatively. This results in a complex interrelationship between our minds and bodies. Today's story time, I'm talking about something that happened to me a year ago around this time. So, 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, and it's a real thing. You can Google it. When I first was diagnosed, I didn't have many issues, right? I didn't even know I had it until they told me. I went to the ER for something else, and they found cysts on my kidneys. So 6 years ago, I didn't have major issues, right? I might have had a UTI here or there. I might have had, pain here or there, but nothing major. So last year, around this time, I started having, maybe around April, March, started having a lot of different things happen. So I would have pain, every couple months. I would have blood in my urine every couple months. Oh, and if this stuff grosses you out, you can stop listening to the podcast right now, because I know things like this creep people out, but I'm gonna keep going. So yeah, earlier last year I had, different things happen, like blood in my urine and pain in my side and my back, on one side specifically, right? So in May of last year, I was at my school. It was a warm day. It was hot outside. The kids at my school were doing the PARCC testing, the standardized test, and it was a normal day, right? And I took one of my kids to go play basketball because they had been testing like all morning, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, let's get you a break. So we go play basketball. I'm having fun, making shots, you feel me? I'm like Steph Curry out here in these streets. And once we're done playing basketball, I immediately feel a pain on my right side, but it felt different than the previous pain I had on my side, right? So immediately in that moment, mind-body connection part 1, immediately in that moment, I was like, okay, I need to sit down. I need to like get some water. Cause immediately I felt hot, like, and it wasn't like I was like sweating cause of the basketball. It just immediately I felt like hot, like a rush of just heat. So immediately I'm like, you know what? I need to get some water, need to sit down. Let me like get myself together, blah, blah, blah. So for the rest of the day, and after that client, I had like 2 more clients to see at my school. And I was like, well, let me just push through and see them, right? Which was a bad idea. So mind body connection part number 2 for this story is that I literally I felt bad the entire time seeing those last 2 clients. I pushed through as much as possible, but mentally I was like, bruh, I gotta go home. Like I gotta go home and lay down, get some food, and just lay, right? So that evening, I went home. I was taking Tylenol like around the clock. I wasn't really feeling any relief. And my mom comes home and I tell her, that I'm in pain. And she's like, well, go to the patient first, because we have patient first literally like around the corner from us. So I go to patient first, and I go to patient first the next day, and they tell me basically I have a bladder infection, take these antibiotics, and if you're not feeling good, when these antibiotics are over, then go to the hospital. That was that. So I went to work like normal, took the antibiotics. Mind you, I was still in pain. This was a pain, if I could describe the pain, it was a pain that would not let up, right? It was a pain literally that would not go away unless I was on strong pain meds, right? Just think about that. So I took the antibiotics like normal. I even volunteered later that day at a mental health fair, right? And I, in my brain, in my mind, I was like, you know what? So I was going to cancel volunteering at the fair because I was like, I don't feel well. And then in my mind, I was like, no, you signed up for it. Do it. It's only one night. But literally my mind was like, I'm in pain. Like, you need to go somewhere and lay down. So I did the fair. Mind you, I'm still in pain. I'm trying to like put on a good face, but I was still in pain. So that Friday, I was in enough pain to call off work. I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to rest. Maybe I just need to, get myself together. Maybe it's just I'm not resting. Maybe that's what it is. So Friday, I laid around the house. I didn't do much of anything. I didn't have a serious appetite. I didn't have a serious appetite either. So Friday night, I'm still in pain, and I'm just like, you know what, we gotta go to the hospital at this point. So at this point, I call my mom and I'm like, yeah, girl, we gotta go to the hospital because I'm not getting better at this point. So that's Friday evening. And I wasn't getting better. So Friday I go to the ER. They kind of say the same thing like the patient first doctor says. We don't see anything. Nothing really looks crazy on your blood work. So we're going to send you home with the new antibiotic and pain medicine, right? So I finally get pain medicine on Friday evening. What else happens? Friday evening, I am finally having my first signs of nausea. So I was just all jacked up at that point, cause I could barely hold food down. What else happened on Friday? So yeah, I go home Saturday morning. It was like 5:00 in the morning when we left. So I went home, started the new antibiotics and pain medicine. And the pain medicine, so I didn't do anything on Saturday. Mind you, this is Mother's Day weekend. This is Mother's Day weekend as well. So Saturday, I just laid around the house. I did nothing. I think I left once to go get my medicine, and get a card for my mom. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any gifts because I was like all messed up. I was just all messed up. So I did that. And then I started taking the pain medicine. This is Mind Body Connection example 3. The pain medicine made me very dizzy. Right? Like if I got up too fast, if I moved too quick, the pain medicine made me very dizzy. So all my brain was like to do is just lay here, sis. Don't move. Don't go nowhere. Just lay. That's what I did. I laid all day. I was miserable all day Saturday. Sunday rolls around and I'm debating if I should go to church or not, right? I basically said no, I'm not going to go, because Friday when I was in the ER, I could not get comfortable. I could not get comfortable at all in the hospital waiting room seats. I could not get comfortable at all. Like bending, trying to sit up straight was a job. Okay. So I remember that on Sunday morning, and I was like, Mom, I don't know how long I could sit in those seats, so there's no point for me to go to church, right? I remember that. Pain was like, okay, sis, you can't sit in these seats. And the other part that I remember is that me and my family were scheduled to go to Fogo de Chao, and I love that place, for Mother's Day. And I told my mom, like, I'm not going because I'm nauseous, and it's no place for me to eat the good food, and I might not be able to hold it down. All right, that was another mind and body connection. So Sunday night, my mom comes back home from Fogo de Chao. At this point, I'm still laying around. I visibly see blood in my urine at this point. The pain still hasn't gone away. I'm literally just laying around the house. I'm not getting better. The medicine isn't working. I'm taking the medicine like normal. None of that is working. My mom, gives me some soup, because that's what I was able to hold down, was soup. And I ate most of that. And I ate most of it because I was hungry. I hadn't really eaten much of anything. What else happened? So Sunday, my mom starts Googling stuff. She's Googling polycystic kidney disease versus bladder infection. And my mom is like, yeah, I think you need to go back to the hospital. And I was just like, sure. I didn't have a fight in me. I wasn't going to fight her about it. I was like, bet, I feel like we should go back. So we go back to the ER. I tell them the same thing. Like, I was here 2 days ago, which I was. Something's not right. I don't feel well. Something isn't right. Which it wasn't. I felt like nothing was working and something was wrong. Like, seriously wrong. So they do all their tests, their blood work, all the things, and they're like, okay, you have a cyst on your kidneys that is bleeding. And I was like, see, I told y'all. And the guy basically tells me, like, you know what, I need to call your regular kidney doctor and see what she wants us to do. And at that point, they're basically like, you're staying at the hospital. And I was like, okay, I don't know where else you want me to go. Sorry, y'all, my throat is dry. I should have brought my water up here. So at that point, they're like, you're staying at the hospital, right? Right. So throughout that story, there were a lot of mind and body connections. There are a lot of mind and body connections in that story. Even when I came back home from the hospital, I was still listening to my body. My body didn't really feel right until maybe like 6 weeks later. Like probably like the beginning of July is when I started to feel like myself. I had to take things slow. I was sleepy a lot because iron levels were pretty low. I had to like get myself together a lot. I was yawning all the time. What else? I started walking again maybe around June, and I definitely had to listen to my body then, because when I walked around my neighborhood, I would still have back and side pain. So sometimes I would stop the walk early because I would have back pain or side pain. So even after I left the hospital, I was still listening to my body, and that's important because I feel like your body gives you signs. Your body gives you signs telling you like, hey, something is wrong, or you need to look at this, or you need to look at that, or you need to stop eating this, or you need to stop eating that. And vice versa, your mood can also affect your biological functioning. Like stress and anxiety can impact you physically, right? So like sometimes people, when they're stressed out, they'll stress eat, right? Or if they're anxious, they'll drink something caffeinated, things like that. So I really want you guys, during this week to pay attention to your mind-body connection. So this has been another episode, and thanks for listening.